I was born in Geneva, moved to Sandwich before my first birthday. My parents fell on hard times back in them days. They made arrangements that I could live with my grandparents in Sandwich. I lived most of my life and grew up with them. My grandparents was farmers outside of Sandwich, where I grew up. I would help my grandfather around the farm, and then I worked with my grandfather on other farms. I learned a strong work ethic of life early. My grandfather used to say, "Never put off tomorrow what you can do today." In my pre-teenage years, my grandfather retired from the farm and we moved to Sandwich. We didn't have much, but always had a full stomach and a lot of love. As a teenager, I had a number of jobs. One of the jobs that I had, I was a paper boy that delivered morning papers in Sandwich. I broke my wrist at high school. And during my time of a broken wrist, I could not roll my papers up. So my friend would roll my papers up, put them on my handlebars, then take tape and where I had a cast and wrap around my wrist on my handlebars so I could do my route. This lasted about 6 weeks. I didn't want to give up a good paying job for a temporary broken bone. After that, I worked in a few different places. I went to work for the State Theater. As a young teenager, I'd go down every morning about 5 or 6, and I would clean the theater from the night before. I'd even go down in a scary old basement to shovel coal into a stoker. It was so scary and creepy in that basement, I'd become the fastest coal shoveler in town. Even a better job would come around, I would take a look at it. It was important for me to earn my own way. During my junior year in high school, I got to know a young lady named Betty Thompson. I'm not sure why she took a liking to me, but we had a lot of fun times together. She used to bring me sandwiches when I worked at a phone station at night. Betty and I got quite serious and got married a few years later. We instantly had a family. Betty's mother had passed away, and we ended up raising her 2 brothers. We had no financial help, so Betty and I both had to work and tried to give them everything that they needed. A short time after that, we started our own lives. I got a full-time job at Caterpillar, where I worked for 32 years, held several positions at Caterpillar, including in the union and in management. At the same time, I run a small auction business. About 2 years after we was married, we was blessed with our first son. And shortly after that, we had the second son, Brian. It was great to be a new dad. I taught the boys how to fish and hunt and other activities as their youth. Of course, we stayed in Sandwich to raise our family. Soon, Dean became interested in baseball, and Brian followed Dean's footsteps in baseball, got involved in baseball's association, and even became president of the association. Those memories I'll never forget, the involvement with my son's life. We spent a lot of great times together as a family. Brian, Dean, both live in Sandwich today and raising their own families. I'm not only known as Dad, but I'm known as Papa. Over 30 years ago, a few folks gave me the suggestion I should run for alderman. I'd never even consider running for any city government at the time, but I thought maybe that I could help. The city of Sandwich was flat broke. In fact, the city had to go borrow money to pay their bills. After I started my office career as alderman, I was appointed to the budget committee. We started right away trying to get the city back in the black. About 8 years later, our mayor had passed away. I was appointed mayor pro tem, and then as a write-in candidate in my first election, I won. Wow. Nobody was more surprised to hear the phrase than me, Mayor Thomas. Over the years, It has been a real challenge, both in the town and the nation, which includes going through the worst recession of ever. Since I've been mayor, we have balanced the budget every year with reserves for a rainy day. I played a major part in bringing new businesses to town and to keep our real estate taxes the lowest in DeKalb County. Our local sales tax is one of the lowest in the area. I've always loved our town, Sandwich. I want to continue to see it do good. It's a good place where I grew up in. It's a good place where my kids grew up in, and now I get to see my grandkids grow up here. I believe I can play a very important part with my experience and knowledge to keep Sandwich God's country.